We are on day 4. So for those of you guys watching the recording, or those of you who attended live, day number 1 was Goal Get It, where we really focused on purposeful driven goals. Day number 2 was building your revenue runway, really breaking down all the components that you need inside of your business to have a steady amount of leads, conversion, nurture happening, so that way you can actually build recurring revenue. And then yesterday we did No BS Sales, teaching you guys how to, of course, put together the prescriptive methods so you can just like make an offer and not be weird about it. But the last piece all comes down to content. And this is why I kind of put it last, not because it was like, hey, this is the best kept secret, but really it's like we can do all these other things, but even if we don't do the other things great, like sales great, we don't have a great system, having content that really converts pretty much solves all of the challenges that a lot of people have. Having more leads just gives you more shots at being able to get people to sign up. So we're going to dive right into this good stuff of client converting content. I always like to ask, just like I did with all the other ones, hopefully you guys realize there's a system to this. How do we feel about creating content? Maybe drop in the chat like how you feel about it now. Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like creating content is very time consuming? Is it something that's pretty steady for you? What would you say is your experience about creating content? And while you guys are typing stuff in there, I ask this because I kind of get mixed things from the coaches we work with inside of Coach to Coach. It's either they're like, you know what, content's really easy, it streams out for me, it's something that's really simple. I spend like, half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe a couple times a week. And then there are people like me that spend like 3 hours creating a piece of content. But either way, it's not right or not wrong. It just is. So yeah, would be curious as to see what everybody is saying with that. Just says definitely craving a sustainable content system. Yes, I'm excited by the idea, but never excited about executing. 100%. The thing is when we signed up as coaches, as business owners, we know how to talk about the stuff that we love, but we could talk about it for 2 hours, and then we're now playing with clients' attention spans of 45 seconds to 60 seconds. And then we think, how can I literally condense this entire thing down into like a 40-second block? And so it can be really stressful. Or, you put something out that you're like, hey, this is exactly what I want to hear right now. But does it necessarily mean that your clients are going to resonate with it or they're going to see it? So content is the thing that a lot of businesses struggle with now, because we used to go from content. As long as you put it out there and you showed up every single day, you would get a bucket ton of leads. That's just how content worked from like 2008 to, I would say, probably like 2021. But now, because guess what? There's a lot of other content creators, and AI makes really good content and people just know how the system works. We become in our businesses almost like dopamine providers, where our content needs to be valuable, but there's also a level of entertainment. There's a level of, how do we break the cycle, or how do we provide the dopamine enough for someone to actually stay longer and be willing to listen? So I want to share with you guys my journey of creating content. So I've been a coach. So this year coming, it's going to be hitting a decade of coaching. And I've done a lot of coaching. I've done, like I said, the first couple of trainings. I had an in-home training company. Then we had a physical studio where we advertised to a space. We had, of course, had our supplement company, which again, that's a totally different way of doing social media because that's more product marketing. And then there was doing social media for our online hormone business. And now I'm doing social media for, of course, the business coaching. Through every single one of these, I can tell you, I know what I signed up for as a coach. I signed up to coach. I never signed up to do social media. And I actually had a really poor relationship with social media. I thought everyone was trying to sell me and it was scammy as hell. So when I posted about stuff, all I did was I did what I know. I tried to coach people with my content, and I was just putting a lot of the information. And so I scrolled all the way back as far as I possibly could without burning my fingers. And these were the way that I was effectively posting in the studio. It was a lot of before and afters. It was a lot of like, here's a picture of a juice or a smoothie or, what we're using as a protein powder. I use my wife a lot because guess what? She looks more put together and attractive than I do. So I was like, if I want to attract ladies, hey, put a lady on my social media. That's very simple. But if you notice the theme and you're looking around at everything, there's not a consistency. There's not someone looking at this saying, I know this is speaking to me. It's random. And it's absolutely random because I did it random. I thought that I could speak to everybody. So at the very beginning, when all I knew how to do was be a coach, I tried to help everyone with my social media. So my message was how can I share as much as I possibly can about any given topic, about nutrition, about a medication, about men's stuff, women's stuff. And it was everywhere because I was like, well, I can help everybody. And that's true. You can help everybody. But just like you can see from these photos here, if it's not clear on a specific thing that you can do, then people are just not saying, this is for me. And so what happened was my social media got freaking crickets. I was trying to speak to everybody and I got nobody. And then the second thing I did was like, I was like, well, if I can't get people by just spreading all of this information, it's probably because I'm not on enough platforms. So I downloaded every platform known to man except for Twitter. I never tweeted in my life, but I tried to show up everywhere. But again, if I was trying to speak to everyone, showing up everywhere, all of the platforms then become random. And so what happened was is I would get a lot of people who would reach out occasionally and they're like, hey, really great tool or tip, great recipe, or just people wouldn't respond at all. It wouldn't engage with anything. And so I spent about a year doing this, trying to just give people information. And I said, you know what it is? I think they're not connecting with me because I'm not showing them what's possible for them. So I switched from the person who only gives information to I was like, I'm just going to be hella inspirational. I'm going to Tony Robbins this. I'm going to create every post deep, sad, like you can do this. You can build your business. You can have your health, anything that you coach. Like I was just all in the inspiration. And you know what? I did get some feedback with that. I'd have people messaging me, oh, Andrew, you're so inspiring. Keep up the good work. And I was like, but like, I can help you. And they're like, bye, see you later. And it was about a month of that where a client came in and was talking about his struggles. And I was like, you know what? He seems to be talking about his struggles a lot. This is when we had started the studio. I was like, so I think where it is I got to focus on the struggle. I really just have to mirror the complaints, mirror the stuff, because if that's all they talk about, that's all I'm going to talk about. So I said, do you feel like you're struggling no matter what you're doing is not working and it's so hard for you to see results and you're not scaling, or it doesn't matter what the industry was. For me, it was health stuff, how they're not losing weight, how they're bloated every day, how they feel bad every day. For me, for them. But when I finally did get people to reach out, they were not the right person. These people were only focused on the struggle. They were so obsessed in telling their story. And by the way, when I heard their stories, when someone is such in a victim state that they've rehearsed the story, you're like, you've told this to tons of people. That's what it was like. And so, in trying to help everybody, in trying to be this inspirational person who focused on the struggle, I didn't get anybody. And we really struggled to get high quality clients and to get clients to connect through social media. And I couldn't understand because when I was networking, when I was meeting people person to person, when I was getting referrals from clients, they connected with me immediately. So I was like, how is it I'm getting the right person when I speak to them? But on my socials, I'm not attracting the right person. And so, like always, I was having a conversation with my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, Lorna. And she was like, I'm not doing social media the way you're doing. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, honestly, like I'm just really focusing on connecting with these people, sharing the transformation. And like I'm walking through like what I did, the challenge, but that I was working towards myself. And as she started to show the messages, because she was the first one who started the social media platforms, and I didn't realize, I was like, holy shit, you have 70,000 followers. Now I think she's got it close to 170 on TikTok. But at that point, she had close to 70,000 followers, which I didn't even realize. And I was reading her messages, and her messages, like the ones I'm sharing in front of you now, they all said the same thing. You're so relatable, but I'm interested in coaching. Hey, I noticed you had an offer. How can I get in it? Or the most important thing, which I really realized that she was speaking to these people right, that blurb on the right hand side there, everything you say just describes how I'm feeling to a T. It's the validation and understanding that I've been looking for. What do I need to get started? High level people talk like that. I'm not going to be the victim. I'm not going to be the person who's stuck. I see that you're the person who can provide an opportunity. So, what is it like? And as I was looking at the messages, seeing that they were all the same, I was like, what the hell are you doing? Because clearly what I'm doing is it's not working. And this is more than just you're a lady, I'm a guy. You're focused on binge eating. I was focused on hormone coaching. You were connected and I was not. And so she was like, listen, the content that you're doing, it's not for the highest level people. It's for people who are all over the place. When I look at your socials, I don't know what you're about. I don't know what you're focusing on. I don't know what your movement is. And so if there's no connection, if I can't place myself inside your socials, if I can't be like, this is the space for me, then I'm not going to reach out. They're just not. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm only going to speak to those people who are ready. I'm going to say, what does my ready client do every single day? I'm going to write it down and I'm going to speak to them. And then instead of doing 15 million different platforms, I chopped everything down to two. We now have three because I'm doing two really well. So I've added a third. And I started really saying, where are my clients? Where are they actually hanging out? Where are they spending time? Where are they actually like trying to find the solution or the support? But the most important thing, which I learned from Lorna, which I'm going to share with you guys, I shared the transformation journey. I really showcased what it would be like to go through the process, to be in this world and to see the results. And then people started DMing me, but the DMs changed. It became, hey, I see you have this. I'm already doing X, Y, and Z. Can your program help me? Or how can I get started? And I was like, holy crap. And that was the fundamental difference that allowed us to shift. So when we were doing our online coaching, we were having people reaching out 5 to 10 people a week versus the 2 to 3 that I would get monthly from my social media. So now, in terms of our platforms, I also want to share something with you too. Unlike Lorna, who had 70,000 followers, I never had a big following. And you know what? I still get reach outs daily. You actually don't need a large following. You don't need a crap ton of visibility. What you need is consistency, the right message, and you need to attract the right people. On Facebook to date right now, I've got about 1,800 people on Facebook, and there's about 200 on my business page. It's not a large audience. But here's the thing, I don't need a large audience because if 200 people, or let's even say 50 people, like from the Insta, if I built a legitimate tribe, 642 followers currently, and 100 of them were my highest level clients, if you got 100 clients into your business right now, would that fundamentally change the way that you're operating your money, your income, or even let's say the YouTube channel, which has been in operation for 3 months? Okay. I've got 100 videos, 20 people subscribed. You're like, 20 people. That doesn't sound like a lot of people. What would 10 clients do for your business, for your bottom end, for your income? Here's an interesting thing, though, that I noticed when I started talking to the right people. And one of you guys actually DM'd me yesterday. You're like, Andrew, you keep showing the numbers of the income of what people pay you. That's what that little thing is. They're going from 9,000 to 40,000. The reason why I show that in all of them is because something really, really intriguing happened. I have about 4 years worth of data to show the quality of my posts and who I was speaking to then and what the average client spend was and who I'm speaking to now and what their average client spend was. For the first 4 years of my business, my average client spend was $2,200. After the first program, after the first two challenges, after a self-paced course and maybe a small thing, they'd be done. They weren't really willing to invest higher than that because my content was actually just focused on the tools, the information. You can get a recipe book, you can get this. And so people didn't value that because there is a limit of value to information. But the moment I started talking to high level people, people who want coaching, mentoring, support, who value working with me, not only did they stay longer, which I shared in the last training, average person stayed for 2.5 years, but they were willing to invest more. So my average client spend now $9,600. That's fundamentally different than $2,200. But that's because I'm talking to a person at a completely different level. So my content's changed, but also the income and the way that I operate in business with my clients has changed as well. Content is really the key piece to this. Now, here's a question I always ask my coaches coming in. Where do you struggle with content? In hearing kind of that journey and that process, you might find that there might be one specific thing. I've got a couple of examples here. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat or even on mute. Like maybe you're not sure what to post. You're like, you know what? I have no idea what my high level clients want. I know the information, but I don't know what to post to actually attract those people. Maybe it's your messaging where you're speaking to people, but you're getting people at different levels. And you're like, I want some type of consistency so I can know where to work on. Maybe a couple of days it's, or a couple consultations or reach outs. There are people who like are so low, they're not ready to hire you with mixed in with like the occasional person who is. Maybe it's your promotion where you have no problem creating content to provide value, but then you really struggle to create the content that actually showcases your offer well enough for a high level client to say, hey, look, I want to be in on this. Or maybe it's embodiment. I didn't realize that I did first 4 years of my business, I did virtually no embodiment content. I never showed people the transformation process and how I operate. And I'll share with you a little bit later why that's really key and that's really important. Or maybe there's another thing with social media. Where do you feel you struggle with content? Jess says all four. That's okay. That's okay. Some people are going to say one, some people are going to say multiple. This may be a recurring theme. I don't know if you've noticed through these past trainings, I was crap at everything. So not only was I bad at sales, I had no system. I was just terrible at everything. It's like crazy how I'm like, I can't believe how extraordinarily bad I was at all these things. And like, I'm still here. So if it's like all four, cool. Yeah, I struggled with all four too, because one of the things when it comes to building a business is a lot of the schooling, the training, the stuff that we take is how to help the client, but it's not really how to connect with the client, promote it, market it. So like it's just the reality of what it is, right? So yeah, 100%, right? Like it's every single thing that's here. I said 100% to Jess's message here. I noticed that's how both presentations started. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just you. Even you guys watching the recording, like you're going to have ebbs and flows with content. Sometimes it'll transition to my messaging is spot on, but like I don't know what to post. Or like, you know what, I've got the posting down, my messaging's really good, like I'm promoting stuff, but like, you know what, people, they're not quite reaching out. I'm not really showing anything in terms of embodiment. There's a lot of things that go into this process. First, Jess says, since yesterday's session, I realized I'm wanting to attract people at very different stages. Not sure how to speak to each of them. Here's the best part, Jess. You can actually speak to multiple people at different stages because you need to have people in different levels of the funnel. The majority of our content should always go to the highest level person because we want to work with people who are ready now. Like we need to bring in clients now. But that doesn't mean we can't be doing things or saying things or showcasing things that gradually warm the audience up, because there will become some point where they're ready. This, though, that readiness really comes down to the clear audience. Some of you guys who are inside the Coach to Coach program, I talk about this a lot, having a clear audience, but knowing who we're speaking to. But also there's kind of a second piece to this. So for those of you who this is a refresher, it's always good to hear more info. But for those of you who this is new, like, really write these down, okay? It's really understanding what part of the journey they're speaking to. I share this hands down in every place that I can when it comes to content, because people still don't understand the way you talk to a certain level or a certain person at a certain stage in their journey is very different. And I call them situation aware, problem aware, and solution aware people. I'm going to walk through what each one is, and then I'm also going to show you the style of content for each one. When it comes to situation aware people, these people, they don't know they have a problem. Like, easiest way that I can explain, from a health perspective is like, this is the person who's just straight up, they're like 40 pounds overweight. Maybe they've got, like, they're starting to be on the risk of the diabetes. And you know what? They're having a couple of challenges, but they're not seeing it as a problem right now. Truthfully, they lack commitment. Or even if they do see it as something, they're focused on the struggle. These are the people who are typically stuck in victim mode. Poor me, I feel so bad. Why did this happen to me? It's so tough. Situation aware people are the farthest from your ideal clients. If we speak to them all the time, we're going to get people who complain, who question you, question your process, who doubt that you can help them, and they want to spend a really long time telling you their story. And like I said earlier, man, they practice it. It's like it's a rehearsement in the mirror. It's crazy, right? But at some point, they are going to become aware enough to actually take action. The second kind of group in the middle, these are problem aware people. Look, they've had the challenge long enough to know they have a problem. They do. And they're starting to work on it. They're now starting the journey. But here's the thing, like anyone, when you first start, you don't know who can help you. And a lot of times you don't know what you need. So these people are open, but they're not aware enough to know that you are the person who can provide the solution. They've never considered you as the solution. Maybe they've considered hiring a potential person, but they don't know who's right. This is what we call the information gathering stage. They got to figure out where they're going to start. They got to figure out who they're going to hire. And then they got to figure out if it's you, which still takes some work, takes some education there, takes some connection there. Finally, we have our solution aware people. This is what we call a high level client. A solution aware person is someone who is actively working on it. As a matter of fact, they're already seeing results. They're doing good things. They're seeing progress, but shit's clunky and they're still not getting the results they want. These people, maybe they've actually hired a few people. Maybe they've actually signed up for a couple of courses. They're doing some work. They've tried things on their own. And you know what they've recognized? That they can't do it by themselves. They are self-aware to the point where they're like, I need support. And so the only thing that they're looking for is, are you the person who can be that support? Do you have the solution for me? So at each level, there's a different style of content. When it comes to solution aware people, you don't need to share with them the how. Why did I start with solution aware first? Let me swap. Whoa. Actually, no, screw it. I'm already in solution aware. Who cares? We're going to backtrack this. With solution aware people, you don't need to share with them the how. You don't need to share with them the small, tiny tips or tools or things to get them started. They've already got every tip or tool that you could ever give for free. They've done it. They've tried it. They have it. They've explored it on their own. They're not dumb. So what they need to understand is how you are going to be different, what you can do that they haven't been able to do. This is called the transformation process that I'll talk about later. But it's largely creating content to show them your process, why you should be this person, and creating content to validate that they are the people who are ready. Someone who takes fast action, someone who goes all in, someone who's the person who is not willing to accept that, oh, I'm just going to struggle with this forever. Like, you're not willing to accept that. You're the person who looks for a solution. And that's the content you create. Problem aware people, it's really important that you work problem aware people to solution aware people. So if you know that the solution aware person is already working towards this, then a problem aware person, you start creating content saying that they need to start working towards it, doing things on their own. Here's a few tips and tricks to get you started. If you're at this level and you're experiencing this, you do Y. So we share the hows, the tips, and the tools, but we also say how our clients operate. Because guess what's going to get them to become more solution aware? If I want to see the result that Andrew's client got inside of Coach to Coach, maybe I start becoming and acting more like Andrew's client. That helps them lean towards solution aware people. And now they're situation aware people. I know we as business owners and coaches, we want to just write them off. We're like, you know what? The easiest way, and I'll tell you, don't get caught in this thought trap, saying, I only want to speak to people who are ready. And like, there you are with your arms crossed and you're on this pedestal. Like, you must be ready to work with me. Here's the thing. If you're someone who genuinely wants to help people, these people at some point will become solution aware. This is where situation aware people need to recognize that they have a problem. So we create content saying, you are experiencing X, Y, and Z. And what this means is you have a problem in this area. And all my clients had this problem. And when they recognize the problem exists, awareness, you need to build awareness with them. When we recognize the problem exists, then we can start to work on it. And so what happens is you plant the seed in their mind that the thing that they are working on, the thing that they're not working on is something worth working towards. So the majority of our content should be to solution aware people, hands down. I'm talking about 85, 90%. Because especially if you're someone who is only getting, I would say, like less than 10 clients a month, like consistently growing less than 10 clients a month, you can only afford really to talk to the person who's ready. Now, that doesn't mean other people won't reach out to you. They will. But you want to talk to the people who are ready now so you can get clients now. So think of your solution aware people like your 30 to 60 day funnel. Problem aware people are going to be your 60 day to 120 day funnel. And situation aware people, these are long-term nurture. We're talking about a year. But if you do it right and you're always talking and showcasing to people, then it's going to build. It's going to build over time. So I want you guys to ask yourself this question. If you were to take a look at your past 5 pieces of content, and you don't have to say, you don't have to drop it in the chat or anything, or if you want to, you totally can, but who have you been speaking to the majority of? Is it random? Are you unsure? That's something you should be asking yourself, because we have to audit what we're doing before we can make the change. Once we start saying to ourselves, you know what, I want to speak to the solution aware people, this is where, and we're going to bring back the green sheep, boom, or the ram technically, I guess, because it's got horns. We got to speak ascension. This is where we have to lead them to become the highest level client. And remember what I said at the very beginning. We don't share the tools or the how. As coaches, we're obsessed with sharing the tools, because we believe if I coach them, if I give away value, if I give them knowledge for free, then that's going to be the thing that makes them reach out. But here's the thing with that. If someone is in a place where they truly want to change, they don't want to just be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to try this different thing, go back. Oh, that didn't work. Let me look at a piece of content again. Okay, let me take that back and let me see. I guess the trial and error, highest level clients don't do trial and error. They want the thing that's right for them. They want to go straight to the source. They want to dive in. And that's why they should invest in you. So we don't share the tools to attract high-level clients. First thing, we're going to share what you value. What are your values? What do you value inside your program and what do you value for them? So, for example, inside of Coach to Coach, I built a program that values recurring revenue. That's important because there are a lot of coaches inside their business that go month to month, that don't have marketing budgets, that can't hire people, that are stuck doing it on their own because they're getting a bunch of cash injections. They might get one client that signs up and pays 10K, but then it's like you get 10 clients, all that money up front, and then you're like trying to hunt for people over and over again. So I value recurring revenue. I value being unique. I value fast action. I value direct decisions. Why am I sharing this with you right now? Because truthfully, if you were to join the Coach to Coach program, this is how I'm going to help you in your coaching. So when I share what I value inside of my containers, what I value working with coaches, what I value inside of my business, I'm teaching my highest level client how I'm going to help them inside of my coaching or my programs or my offer. Remember, we're preparing them for the offer. Then we're going to create content showing how we operate. I shared this on the last training. I am the type of person who I'm not going to look at someone's social media for 6 months or lurk in the background. I'm going to see 15 pieces of content, attend one webinar, and then I'm going to say, you know what? This person, they're credible. They've given me enough information. I know enough, and I'm going to take action. I take fast action. That's just how I've always operated because I personally don't believe that there's wrong decisions because I believe we make decisions right by making adjustments. What I've just done there is a piece of content. I don't believe there's wrong choices because we make choices right by making adjustments. So guess what? I'm teaching them what it's like to be in my program, in my container, and to work with me. I want people who take fast action. I want people who don't get caught up in making the right or wrong choice, but who are willing to make adjustments along the way. So when we show them how we operate, we show them how they're going to operate inside the container. But it's not enough to show the what and the how. We have to show the why. Why do I operate this way? If I'm saying inside of the Coach to Coach program, I value reoccurring revenue, I value fast action. Why is that important? Well, I shared that with you already. Reoccurring revenue is key to building a scalable business and making a scalable paycheck. Taking fast action is key to making decisions really quickly where you're not bogged down with what's the piece of post that I should make today. You're just next, next, next. That's how businesses take off really quick. When you share the why you operate the way you do, why you live the way you do, why you make choices the way you do, why you build relationships the way you do, because it's also about sharing your personal. You teach the clients how to operate like your best clients. My best clients inside of Coach to Coach, everyone inside of Coach to Coach is just like me. They're not as loud. I'm the only loud person, I guess. Maybe I need to make louder content. But the way that they operate is the same. Like, hey, I got an idea, want to bounce it off you. Cool. Here's how I'm feeling. How can we work through this? Amazing. I've got my next step. And so we need to teach them how to be able to operate the way that the highest level client does. But here's the two pieces of content that are going to get someone to actually reach out to you. We need to share with them the journey process. This is about painting the picture of the process itself. Are you showing behind the scenes back end with your client calls? Are you sharing in your content the conversations you're having? Hey, just hopped off a call and had a conversation about X, and here's how we worked through it. Because they need to see what the process will look like. Because sometimes what prevents people from reaching out is either they think the process is a lot, it's really scary, and they're like, I don't know if I'm ready for the commitment, right? Inside your mind, you're like, oh, man, this is a 30-step process. When in reality, it's only 4 steps. If we can't paint the journey of them and show to them like, hey, this is how easy it could actually be. This is the process of what our average clients go through. Then they're going to have a hard time seeing themselves in that process. And then this is the experience. What were your clients' transformations? What was your transformation? What did they learn? What was their experience? So they can actually put themselves in that picture and in that frame and say, not only can I see the journey, I see myself in the journey. This is where we go back to Lorna's content. Everything you said resonates with me. You're talking to me. You're speaking to me. You get me. That's what's going to be the thing that gets the reach out, that gets the client saying, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready because I value the same thing that coach does. I'm ready because I'm operating the same way that all of their high level clients operate. I'm ready because my why is the same why as their why. And I'm prepared to stick with that. I can see myself in the journey and I have an idea and an understanding of what the journey looks like. When you do this right, the people who buy your stuff, they show up 100%. They do everything you say to a T. They actually finish the program. And they're one of the easiest clients to work with because these people won't have questions, truthfully. They'll understand you process. They'll take what you say and they'll do it. It's good because not only does it allow you to attract someone who is going to sign up, but you're going to attract someone who's going to actually succeed in your coaching. Now, yeah, Jess says, love this. Absolutely. Now, here's the thing. You know you're not doing this right with the ascension. You're having people come onto your calls or offer you or buy your program, and then there's a disconnect, and they're like, "Oh, well, I didn't like. I have questions on the process. I didn't really know it was going to be like this. Do we have to change this? Can you work around me?" And you're like, "Well, wait a second. You're not matching these things. If they question your process, you haven't shown them how you operate. If they question the results they're going to get, or they ask for things like guarantees, they're questioning the journey and the experience. And if they don't want to change stuff, the value is not aligned or the experience is not aligned. Because high level clients, I sometimes in coach to coach, which is crazy. I've had this, I'd say the past 3 consults in a row. I've had conversation with coaches, and about 10 minutes in, they're like, I'm just so excited to start. Just tell me what the starting process is. I'm like, cool, I guess we're starting. I don't even like go through the rest. I'm like, we're starting because there's such a high level of trust and there's such a connection with values that they're actually not second guessing anything. They're like, cool, like what's the process? Like you don't actually have to tell me what's involved because I guess it's just part of the process. And this is where you're attracting that high level client. So the pieces of content, this is where we're like, okay, if we're going to share how our values are in the operation, what's the actual structure of this? Because guess what? Content does have structure. This is where we got to say to ourselves, if I'm going to create transformative content, I need a repeatable system. So hands down, if you don't have one, you need this as a bare minimum for a content guide. You need to write down, this is for you to create a system that creates high level content all the time. You need to write down your services and your specializations because guess what? We are going to have to showcase what we specialize in. We're going to need to write down the target audience, and then you're going to need to write down your client's pain points. This is the bare minimum for us to create high level content. And I'm going to show you the process. Here's why, because when I pull content, I'm not pulling content out of my ass. I wish that's where content was found, but no, it's in reality. Yeah, I went there. That's right. That's not where content's found. Content is from, I had a powerful conversation. My client has a pain point, and you know what? Boom, I connect the two. So here's what I mean by that. Let's say in core services, funnel and offer creation. I come across a coach and the coach is, you know what, like they're getting clients, but for some reason their funnel's really clunky and they're getting random people. Go down to the client pain points. Okay, you know what? They have a really hard time attracting and getting consistent qualified leads. Cool. So if I'm going to create a piece of content talking about someone's funnel that has a hard time attracting consistent and qualified leads, I'm going to go back over here. Cool. So I can start, and this is just top of the head. Okay. When I create a funnel, I focus on creating a funnel that's value stacked. And in doing this, I will do like a 3-day masterclass, a webinar, a seminar. But inside the seminar, I'm not just going to share the tips, the tools, and the how. I'm going to share with them all of the things that they've been doing, why it hasn't worked, and here's how we can do something that can work. Now, the reason why I operate this way, plug the keyword in there for you guys to pick up on it. Reason why I operate this way is because when I share clients the tools and the tips, they continue to just use old tools and tips. They don't know how to apply it properly for them, and so they fail. And this is why you might be getting people inside the funnel that aren't doing the things that you need to do. But the good news is just like my client Julie, you can change your funnel with X, Y, and Z thing in order for you to be able to see the results. I show how I operate. I show what I changed. I add in what my client did. Now they can see themselves in the client. They can see themselves in how I choose to operate, and they can see what the process is like. And it's talking about qualified leads and a funnel. And guess what? I could talk about that point 10 different ways. I could talk about why you need to throw the funnel in the garbage. I'm not so here's this, how I operate right here. Hey, I know you're really invested in your funnel, coach, but throw your funnel away. Start completely fresh. You're trying to change up and adjust your own funnel, trying to make it super, super perfect, when in reality, I abandon funnels all the time. Now I'm showing how I operate. I'm showing still how they can attract qualified leads, but now I'm speaking to the value instead of speaking to the other aspect. So the content can become very simple. I talk about the same points in different ways with different stories. And this is what I just did here. Every Ascension piece of content has a structure. There's the topic. Ideally, I like to talk about topics with whatever I'm promoting. So for example, our program Client Converting Content is starting in 15 days. So I want to talk about how coaches can get clients from content. They can actually build content that can convert a client. You need a story, a connection to show you as the coach. Well, the story could be really simple. I just hopped off of a client call and they said X, Y, and Z. I just coached a client through a challenge who had this. I just had a conversation with my wife and this came up. The story is important because people don't remember the tools or the information. They remember the story connected to them. People are sold by stories. And then you got to talk about what they aren't doing. We validate the challenge and we explain why it's still one. Listen, you're putting out content every day and you're doing a good job at being consistent, but you're not speaking to the highest level client. And that's why you're not attracting the highest level client. I validate the challenge. I explain why it is still one. And then the value. This is your genius. This is the best part about it. You're just going to showcase in a piece of content what they can do differently. And the value could be something as simple as attend my webinar, attend my masterclass. It could be combined with the call to action, or it could be something completely separate. It doesn't matter what it is. This is the genius. What should they do? What's a piece of value that they can leave from this to say, hey, I totally resonate with this. Thank you so much, coach. And then at the end, the call to action. So many coaches, they really have a good time embodying. They speak to everything. And then at the very end, this is where you get inspirational. You have no call to action. You're like, please, I hope you can guess that you need to reach out to me. If you guys go onto my socials, you will see everything has a call to action because people need to, they're going to ask the question of where do I go next? That's the big thing. So no problem, Jess. Awesome. Enjoy. All right. So inside the piece of content, inside the structure, when you're looking at everything that's here, the genius is the last piece of this process. Actually making sure, like, you know, as a coach, how to be able to deliver a tip or a tool. You can do that. Or how to tell them what they need to do next. You can do that. The biggest thing is really focusing on the story and the what they aren't doing, with the most important thing, this here, what you value, how you operate, and why you operate this way. And all pieces of content are made exactly like this. And no surprise, Alex Hormozi does this, Russell Brunson does this, Dale Carnegie does this with his content. It doesn't matter what it is, it's the same thing. Topic, you create a story about that, you talk about what they are doing or failing, you give them value, and you have a call to action. So this is going to be the exact system that you use with this Ascension content. And if you have your services, your pain points, and your client target audience right in front of you all the time, then it'll be easy for you to pull topics from over and over again. And this is how you can make sure that your high-level client is speaking to the same person the same way about the same problems over and over and over again. What's coming up for us here? You can drop in the chat. Can you see how this, yes, getting a lot of thumbs up. Beautiful. Do you see how with each and every one of these, it's a matter of just focusing on the level of value, the operation, the journey, the experience. Sure, I'm not saying you can't give tips and tools, because I saw that in the chat here. I guess I got to stop giving tips and tools. No, we don't just want to be like, my clients saw such great transformations, but then we never share a little bit of what we did. That's not genuine. But in reality, you should have other places in which the tools are readily available anyways. Like as an example, we have the Coach to Coach YouTube channel. The Coach to Coach YouTube channel literally has the how, the tools, the tips. You can go there. And by the way, you should subscribe to it, where you can listen to episodes, 2 episodes a week right now, on how to be able to build your coaching business. The value is already there. So on my socials, I don't need to give the same value, because I tell people, if you want resources, go there. But if you're looking for the transformation, here's the piece of content for you. So the Ascension piece is so, so important. This is what ties it together. Now, I'm curious, drop in the chat, where do you feel through this process that maybe you're not consistent? Is it story? Is it you're doing random topics? Or is it in fact just this straight up Ascension, value, the operation? Everyone's saying operation, value, experience. Okay, focusing on talking about the experience. Good. So there's a lot of different things that's here. So make sure you use this structure at least for your first, I'd say 10 or 12 pieces of high level content, about 2 weeks, 10 or 12. Holy cow. That's not even 2 weeks. That's like, yeah, about 2 weeks worth of content. Okay. I'm the type of person that does 4 posts a day. So, or holy cow, 4 posts a week. So like, that's kind of the average, but that still doesn't add up to 2 weeks. So funny. It's about 2 weeks worth of content that you got to be able to put in there. Can you tell that I need a coffee because I'm doing this session late today, but it is all good. So with this, use the structure. That's the big thing. Okay. Now I threw in an example in here. This is something that I recently did. So you can see, hopefully you guys can see the way I operate, the experience. This is really to focus on this here, the value, the operation, the journey, and the experience. So I'll read this to you. This was a carousel one. The steps that got you to 10K months will get you to 50K months, but how you see yourself needs to change. Because guess what? At 50K months, you will still be posting content daily on your socials, promoting and creating new offers daily, nurturing and following up with leads, signing and delivering to clients. But in each of those steps, you're going to have to see yourself in a different lens. So see how I'm speaking to the person who's already doing? I'm speaking to the person who's already seeing results, but wants to see even more results. And I'm showing them the way that they have to operate. Now, here's how you have to operate. You have to see yourself as a big deal. You are changing lives. You are developing an amazing community. You give your clients the best results. You're delivering more value than others in your field. And now you need to see yourself as the biggest coach on the internet because changing these lives is all that matters. So here's what needs to change. Where are we? We're in the value section right now. Here's what needs to change when it comes to content. It stops being about putting something out there to check a box and becomes client converting content. See how now I'm speaking to the highest level client and they're like, okay, I need to start making client converting content designed around a message that's intentional and benefits the audience. When it comes to promotion, it stops being I'm focused on one offer because I need 6 months to promote it. And it becomes I promote a program based on what my people need. And I promote them hard to fill them in 2 months instead of 6 months so I can change their life. And when it comes to selling and nurturing, it stops being I'm coming to this call to sell them and becomes I'm going to be a teammate to help them join. So they're excited to invest in themselves and they are fully committed. Do you see the transformation and the embodiment? I talk about the embodiment of what these coaches, obviously, I coach coaches. So, what these coaches need to be able to ascend. And when it comes to delivering this daily, it stops being about checking off the boxes to say it's done. It stops being become a cookie cutter coach. Screw that, girl. I don't know. It becomes about getting the same person in front of you every single time and having a streamlined process that ensures that so you get the highest version of clients you love working with. Then, just like I said, because I practice what I preach, call to action. Best part about this is change can happen quickly with the right mentoring, the right intention, and the right decision to join. Join Coach to Coach. Easy peasy. Yeah, chat's blowing up. Crazy. I see it. Yes, I see it. Absolutely, you do. I follow the same process, but I get the emotional connection, the emotional investment, the buy in to each person who reads the piece. And I also share values and I tell them what to start doing. Notice how I still gave them an action step with this for promotion, for nurturing, for content. I still gave them value, but I showed them who they have to embody to become that person. This is the biggest part on this. So you need all of these pieces, all of these pieces. You need to make sure that, of course, you're speaking to the right person, situation aware, problem aware, solution aware. You need to make sure that you're creating ascension based content, showing the values, the operations, the why, the experience. And then we need to make sure that our content is clear. So when we follow this process, it works every single time. This is how I've been able to scale all of my businesses. Our hormone coaching business signed 4,400 clients and we hit 1.1 million. Actually, we finished off at 1.4 before I transitioned into the business coaching because I wanted to keep the income numbers separate. It's huge. Now, before we go into questions, I want to remind you guys, just like I talked about yesterday, we are starting up a program, client converting content. We are running it live for the first time for health coaches, practitioners, online coaches to create content that converts. And guys, if this is the piece, if this is the sticking point for you, you want to attract the highest level client all the time. You want to make sure that you're speaking to the person who is ready to buy and work with you. You want to make sure that when you put a message out there, someone goes, holy crap, they are speaking to me. You need to be in here. It's an 8-week program. 8 weeks is all it takes for you to be able to create content that converts at a really, really high level. And through this program, it's not just going to be about trainings. This is actually going to be active process with creating content, where we're going to be going through, looking through the content, seeing what the message is, giving you feedback on your pieces of content. So when you put it out there, there are people who are going to say yes to it, put up their hand, and take you up on your offer, whether it's for coaching, a self-paced program. And here's the best part about client converting content. It's not just about the content. Client converting content works for your landing pages, Client converting content works for your emails. Client converting content works for your blogs because it's all talking to the same high level client. So not only are you going to be able to create the best and highest version of content, but at the same time, you can start to get better landing pages, better script, better email sequences that speak to the highest level person every single time. Now, the program is going to be starting January 3rd. But if you take a join, I was going to say if you take a joint, that's so funny. Don't take a joint through this. I want you to be absolutely straight and clear. If you take action and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm all in, and you make the decision to join before January 20th, I'm also including for those coaches who are dedicated and invested to do a profile power up, which is basically a one-on-one call where I sit down with you, I review your socials, and I show you exactly where you're going to be able to tweak your stuff ASAP. So that way, even the socials that are up already, you don't have to start from scratch. You can make the quick adjustments and you can take off. This is the biggest piece that's going to help set you guys up. So if you make this commitment before the end of the week, because you guys are a part of Go Get It, this is only an offer for those of you watching the recording or who attended live. And I'm so pumped for you guys who attended live because you get the first ones. You get first access to this. So the profile power up will only be available until the 20th. So you can go to www.growmycoaching.com and it's / client converting content. The link is there. I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. You'll get it in the email. And any questions that you got about it, you guys have my email. You can just message back and we can get you in ASAP. I cannot tell you, like, this is going to be the fundamental program and you've got to be in it. Okay. Like I said, starts January 30th. It's 8 weeks and join before January 20th. Content is the key. Even if you're not a great salesperson, if you have more leads, you're going to make more sales. Even if you don't have a great nurture system, if you have more leads and more people coming in who are ready, you're going to have more people join your process. And you know what? Even if you're doing everything different and you are getting people in kind of different levels and different stages, and you only have one offer and you don't have upsells or downsells like the other trainings, guess what? You're still going to be able to sign people on with this. It all comes down to client converting content, and that's the most important thing. So I'll leave the link in the chat there for you guys to be able to see. I'm really excited for those coaches. So Julie is on she's going to be watching the recording, but she was on some of the calls earlier. She's already in because she's a part of Coach to Coach. So a little fun part two, because I've gotten a couple questions on this from you guys. Coach to Coach is my flagship program, and Coach to Coach includes access to every program that I do. So client converting content, Julie already gets access to that. She's a part of Coach to Coach. So if you want exclusive one-on-one support for your coaching business, just let me know. It'll give you access to client converting content. Plus, we'll be able to work one-on-one on your other stuff. Otherwise, boom, get into client converting content and work on your content. Easy peasy. So now that that fun stuff is done, before we say you successfully survived, go get it. What are we hearing? What are we hearing? How are we feeling with the content? How is everything? Let's see here. What do we got in the chat here? Ooh, I got here, Andrew, this is pure gold. Thanks for sharing your genius. Beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it. And then since yesterday's session, I realized I'm wanting to attract people at every different stages, not sure how to speak to each of them. So when it comes to the content, 85% of all of your posts should speak to your highest level client, because that's the person you want to be speaking to all the time. But that doesn't mean that we can't speak to people at a lower level. So what I would say is go through seasons. So if you're going to do and look at your business in quarters, or I look at it like every 2 months because I've got different offers. Like for me, I know my programs and I know my offers well in advance. So client converting content is starting January 3rd. No BS sales is going to start 8 weeks after that. Nothing but service-based sales. Effortless systems is going to be the other program. And then Coach to Coach is something that runs all year round. So basically every 2 months I talk and I share lower level things, more situation and problem aware to get people ready. So when I'm in an active program for 2 months, I can just continuously hit them with high level stuff to help coaches get into coach to coach. So it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. Just think to yourself, what are my offers? And I'll tell you this, actually, show of hands or drop in the comments how many of you are clear on your offers. Do you feel like you have offer clarity? Kind of. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm seeing, I think so. All right. I'll speak to offer clarity. You really do need to have a marketing calendar and know what you're promoting. You don't just promote things at random. Sure, you can say to yourself, you know what, I want to be spontaneous with an offer. That's different than random because it's thought out still. But what I find is sometimes a coach will only have one offer. They struggle to like maybe fill it like they're not getting 30 signups a month type of thing. And they're like, well, I'm just going to put pieces out there hoping that people will take it. Don't do that. Like, be really clear on your offers, be clear on what you're promoting or what you're pushing out next. Because if you are not clear in what offer you're going to put out, the hesitation is going to show up in your content. So I just want to showcase that. Do you guys have any other questions or anything else through this? Any other way Coach Andrew can support you as I look at the comments here? No. Okay. As that comes in, how do we feel about this? How do we feel about content now being the gateway, being the thing that's actually going to like have the right people attracted to you? Confident? Yes. What else am I saying here? Fire. Yeah. Your content should be fire. It should get you excited and have people like excited to work with you and you excited to work with them. So I love it. All right. Beautiful. So if there's no other questions, I think this was the only training that, well, actually it didn't even end on time. It was still 15 minutes over. Story of my life. By the way, if you guys attend any future trainings, which I encourage you to attend any future trainings, my trainings are like, I'm always like, it's an hour. It's never like, there's always more to it. But like, if you do, just know it's always going to be value packed. Expect to stay a little bit longer. But this one was close. At least it was only a couple of minutes over 10 minutes. But I just want to share with all of you coaches. I'm so proud that you guys committed to go get it, that you watched all the trainings. I know sometimes it can feel like it's information from a fire hose, but I'm a big believer that it's like for coaching, it's not right to just here's only one piece, but then the other pieces are affected by it. And people are just like, well, what do I do now? So it's like, that's why I put together Goal Get It. And this is something that I'm going to continue to do because I believe it's always great to revisit this stuff. So make sure for those of you who have watched the recording, like if you've missed any of the sessions, don't miss any of these. Don't like go back, watch the recordings. The recordings are all going to be up and I'm going to send them all to you guys on Friday. So go get it. That purpose-based goal setting, align with your goals, get really clear on that before you start changing or shifting anything. Because if you don't have the internal clarity, it will affect externally everything that you do and everything that you touch. Second thing, that revenue runway. Really, really focus this year, the year of intention. Build relationships. That's my best advice. That's all you're going to take from this session of Tuesday. Build relationships. And Wednesday, come from a place of care. Do that prescriptive method. What option works best for you? Look to disqualify. That's the biggest thing. And then, of course, today, create that 100K gateway by attracting your highest level client. And, something I didn't share, and I debated on sharing it, the 100K gateway, because people are like, you talk about this in your content a lot. I'm going to be doing a training on YouTube for this, and I feel like it's going to be kind of a bonus section for that. And I'll include it in the recording as well, really talking through what a 100K K gateway looks like. That's just going to be an additional thing, but this is largely content focused. When you're speaking to the right person, they're going to want to sign up for stuff over and over again. So it makes it easy to nurture and it makes it easy to sell. And that's effectively the 100K gateway. And I'll be breaking that down as well too. Otherwise, guys, make sure that you join client converting content. This is going to be such a fire program. There's going to be community around it. There'll be group coaching calls around it. We'll be going through content. We'll be really breaking down the ascension base to make sure that, boom, your content is fire and people are reaching out to you. Otherwise, congratulations. You finally completed the 4-day experience. Now, take the information, take the value, take your intentions, and go get it. And I promise I didn't practice that, but go get it. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll catch you later.